Parliament is rushing against time to finalise budgets for various departments and government entities for the 2024-25 financial year. However, some political parties are concerned that there is not sufficient oversight over these budgets as a result due to the chase of meeting the deadline. The EFF says there has been no quality parliamentary work over the past 2 days. EFF MP Dr. Mbuyiseni Ndlozi says committees have not done proper work to scrutinise the annual plans of entities before considering their reports to table them for the budget vote debates. Now, this has emerged in the National Assembly Programme Committee on Thursday. Ndlozi says the delay by the President to appoint a national executive hampered the reconstitution of committees. He says further delays in appointing some committee chairpersons also added to this problem. He's also said while it's important for Parliament to pass the budget by the end of July, it's unfair that the process has to be steamrolled.
The executive and the entities present annual performance plans, they present budgets. And then the committee must have an opportunity to meet for the second time to consider its own report. But these committees are sitting once and they are debating today. What are they debating? We are just basically scripted. It's a drama, it's a show. I don't think the constitutional duty is being properly executed.
And unfortunately, as you know, that there are particular timelines we have to meet in the approval of the budget. And it's not only the National Assembly that has to consider it, it also has to factor in the National Council of Provinces. And in looking at what is possible, you will see that some of the committees indeed are not going to be able to sit today or tomorrow. We will try and squeeze them next week. But those committees whom we consulted who felt they were ready, it's those that were able to engage and put them up for presentation of their budgets today and tomorrow.
Right, as we expand on this matter, we're now joined by National Chairperson of the Economic Freedom Fighters, Veronica Mente. A very good evening to you. Thank you for your time. You've raised a number of concerns about the impact of chasing to meet deadline when there's not enough oversight over the budgets. What do you believe to be some of the dangers as you make this call and sound the alarm?
Thank you very much for having us. Firstly, the most important thing about budget is for members of Parliament to understand the amount of budget which is going to be allocated to the portfolio. If we make an example that if it's social development, it has its own key entities that must come in like SASA, which must then take some money from that particular budget to deal with the welfare of our people. And once that is done, we then have to look into what are the key indicators of the budget. What are the issues of our people? Are the key performance indicators compatible to what is on the ground? Are they addressing the day-to-day experiences and challenges of our people? And if that is not done thoroughly, then a budget cannot pass, because we ought to understand if the budget addresses the issues of our people, is the budget sufficient? If not sufficient, what then becomes a next step and a strategy for the medium term in order to have another allocation and plan as a committee, as well as us as members of Parliament and representatives of the people, to go back to the people and answer their questions when there are shortfalls in terms of service delivery.
Veronica, just to ensure the quality of our conversation this evening, may I ask that you please perhaps turn off your television, or there seems to be some fallback sound that's disturbing the quality of this conversation. Now, as you do that, we know that the Umkhonto weSizwe party has also expressed discontent. They're complaining about not having adequate time to scrutinize and study the documentation. How would you have liked to see this process unfold as you raise this matter and talk about the impact of rushing the process?
The impact of this process and it being rushed, one, is incompetency of Parliament and the incompetency of the entire institution, starting from how it is run from the administration side, as well as how it is run from the executive, meaning which from the office of the Speaker. Remember, immediately after being sworn in, we only have a few number of days to make sure that a budget is announced and it is passed. We also have a challenge in Parliament where our Parliament was bent down, and it being a situation of refurbishment, we asked Parliament in the 6th Parliament, before we could finish the 6th Parliament, that make available committee rooms where Parliament is going to make sure that it does accountability, it deals with the matters of budget, it deals with all the matters of oversight. And those committee rooms were available, but there was a high level of incompetency and communication which was happening within the department. There was no communication between members of Parliament and the administration, as well as between the Speaker and the administration, where we only had 5 committee rooms available. And those 5 committees that were available had to accommodate more than 16 committees that had to sit, meaning which each committee had to only utilize 2 hours to deal with the election of the Speaker, as well as dealing with the issues of the budget.
Now, I know
That
there's
is
also
not possible.
Yeah. I know there's also talk within the EFF that President Cyril Ramaphosa's opening address of Parliament should be postponed to August. Yet we know National Assembly Speaker Togo Didiza has pointed out that Parliament's program was adopted last week already and it will not be changed. What then?
That's very much misleading, because when we adopted the program of Parliament last week, we adopted it under the belief and an understanding that we have sufficient avenues for all committees to sit individually for a whole day dealing with election of their own chairpersons, as well as deliberating and engaging departments on the budget, understanding all the annual performance plans in terms of what were the achievements, what's still to be achieved, and what is it that they are planning for. So that you cannot do it even over a period of a day, because a committee after that must go and sit and adopt the report. But what's most important within this short period of time, that by the end of the month we should be done with the budget, we still want to feature in 4 days to entertain the speech of the president. And we say the speech of the president is not important. At this point, the president is going to speak on his budget, which is vote 1. Therefore, whatever he wants to say in terms of the statement of opening Parliament, he can say that when he's dealing with vote 1, and we take the other 3 days to deal with the business of Parliament in order to make sure we don't steamroll and fast track the issue of the budget, and all the matters of the budget are dealt with accordingly and qualitatively, so that we can be productive and efficient as members of Parliament.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's perhaps leave it there, and thank you for your time.